everyone, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scary-ish podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace. This is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And today we're going to be reading a few homegrown horrors to you that you lovely folks have sent to us. Adam, why don't you tell us what those are?
A homegrown horror is a story that you, a friend, a family member have had happen to them, or maybe have heard about and it's been passed down from generation to generation that you have sent to us. And those stories can either be supernatural, scary, spooky, sometimes coincidental where something didn't actually happen, or it could be something where it's true crime, where you had a brush in the past with someone who wound up being a serial killer, or maybe something not that bad. We had stuff recently about someone who went through breaking into their house, and they had to stay on the rooftop to avoid it and called the cops from there. So that one was really intense. It's a really good example of what a true crime one can be like. But either way you slice it, it's a story that you decide to send us, and you let us know that we can read on the show. And we have the Storytime episodes 100% dedicated to reading your stories. If you do have a story like that, Robin, tell the wonderful folks where they can send it.
So you can send it to our email, storytime@scaryish.com. You can also go to our website, which is scaryish.com. There's a contact us page. You just fill out that form and it emails it to us that way. You can also send us stuff on all our different social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have our own Discord server. You can check all that stuff out through our website, so check it out.
Indeed, and we hope to hear from you. Thank you all for listening, and thank you to the people who are watching live. So, Robin, are you going to be reading the first story, or am I going to be reading the first story?
Let me read. I feel like I have you read the first story all the time, so let me do that this time. All right.
I will sit back and relax.
All right. So this first email here is from Diana, and it goes, "Hey guys." Hello, we're the guys. What up? I've been listening to the podcast for over a year, and as a chronic procrastinator, I've never sent in my own stories yet. So this happened a couple of years ago. My ex-boyfriend is Italian, and I spent a few months living in his house in Italy. I'm from South America.
That's pretty... Wow. Okay.
That's a huge difference.
This is an international audience
yeah, this is
right
cool.
here.
Although all his family lived there, the house was empty a lot of the time as his parents worked all day. His sister was in school, and my ex was attending uni. For that reason, I spent long hours alone in the quite big house, at least to my standards, which I found kind of creepy due to its many corridors and corners. So one morning, I was on my own, and I had just taken a shower and gone to the bedroom, which was around the corner from the bathroom, when the shower turned on again out of nowhere. That's
creepy.
It takes so much effort
to turn a shower on.
Exactly. That when things like that turn on, it's creepy. When a faucet's leaking, that's like, okay, faucet's leaking. But if it gets turned on all the way, that's weird.
If you hear your shower randomly turn on, there's like three things it could be: a ghost, an intruder, or really messed up plumbing. And all three of those things, I would rather have a ghost than the other two, to be honest with you.
I would not want messed up plumbing, because that is expensive.
It's expensive as shit. I mean, an intruder could also be expensive as shit, but a ghost is like, okay, we can live with this.
So the email continues. I thought maybe someone had come home without me noticing, but a few minutes went by and I decided to go check it up. The door was open and indeed the shower was on. I turned it off, and I kind of convinced myself that I probably didn't close the faucet properly earlier. So a few days go by, and I'm home alone again, this time in the kitchen baking cookies. I've never seen this in America, and definitely not in my country, but bathrooms in Italy have these ring bell switches that you can use to alert people in the house that you need help. I had pressed it in the past, having confused it with the light switch, so I know how it sounds. Anyway, I'm in the kitchen and I hear the ring coming from the bathroom. This time, I was like, okay, what the hell? Side note, I would love to have that in our bathroom, because then I could just...
Then she could stop calling me anytime she runs out of toilet paper.
Yeah, anytime there's no toilet paper, I just, like, either yell out the door,
I think
or...
This is a good thing to bring up. I know it's a little bit off topic, but that's, like, kind of our keystone for this show. I'm curious, if you run out of toilet paper and you're in the bathroom and the door is closed, how many of you shout for someone else to come and get you a roll if the roll is in the bathroom with you, just beyond reach of the seat?
That there was a roll in there.
It happens frequently in our house where I get called to come into the bathroom mid-shit, and then I have to go into the cabinet within the bathroom and hand her the roll, which is only feet from her. And like when I mean, maybe I'm weird. Like when I run out of toilet paper, I just mud butt it across the room really fast and grab a roll. And
I don't
want to
do that. I don't want to do that.
I mean, I don't know.
Because then you possibly leaking pee everywhere, and it's gross, and you got poop smeared all over your butt. It's just gross, okay?
All right. I'm just curious as to whether or not that's a gender thing, or maybe that's just something that has to do with my personality style of being like, okay, it's right over there. I'm just going to I'm a problem solver, and people want me on their corporate team because I wipe my own ass, is what I'm saying here. So
Okay,
I'll let you
anyway.
get back to the email.
Anyway.
I'm glad we got into this, though. This is really healthy dialogue.
Anyway, so I'm in the kitchen and I hear the ring coming from the bathroom. This time, I was like, okay, what the hell? So I make my way through the corridors and check the bathroom, and there's nobody there. I again try to convince myself that it could have been another sound that I didn't recognize, which wouldn't be crazy, as I had only spent a few weeks in the house so far. So I brushed it off. Again, a few days go by. I was on my own, everyone had left a few minutes before, so I decided to have a shower. I get in the bathroom and I go to lock the door. Not sure what they're called, but the latch had a built-in lock thingy, no keyhole. All right. I'm imagining like one of those sliding doors where you, the latch, flicks down and into the other.
I imagine something completely. I imagine just a regular doorknob that has just like that switch that's inside the door, like the circle where you just go like click, and you turn it from horizontal to vertical or vice versa.
But I thought to myself, nobody's in the house, fuck it, what's the point? So they don't lock the door. I get in the shower and I do my business, finish up, get dressed, and I push the door handle to get out, but it wouldn't open. I freak out a bit and I think I am absolutely sure I did not lock this door. But when I turned the thingy, it unlocked and I carefully opened the door, totally imagining the girl from the ring waiting on the other side. But nope, nothing. And no way you could lock the door from the outside anyway. This time I could not reasonably explain it, and I even called my ex to tell him what had happened. That was the last time something like that happened to me in that house, but my ex did tell me how he would often find his wardrobe doors open for no reason, and even how he once saw his dead gran laying on his bed when turning one of the corners, only to disappear when he looked again.
It's weird those two things are mentioned in the same sentence, because one of them is like a 2, and one of them is like an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10, like... Yeah, sometimes my clothes are moved around, and I saw my dead grandma on my bed for a split second. The house is kind of weird. I guess that averages out to kind of weird.
So yeah, interesting house. Anyway, guys, I have some other short stories that have happened in the past. I could try to put them all in one email if you want to hear them. Thanks for the hard work and keep the stories coming. They help a lot, especially during lockdown. Love, Diana. Thank you so much for sending that in. We would love to hear your other stories.
Absolutely.
That house sounds so strange. I mean...
not just because it has those weird Italian locks, but definitely...
or the weird buzzers. No.
Or the weird buzzers, but definitely because of the dead relatives appearing on beds and weird stuff happening in the shower.
Right. And when it comes to stuff in the bathroom, it always weirds me out because I think pervy ghosts.
Ghosts. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe the showers have an automatic on or off switch. I mean, I never would have thought that there would be like an alert bell within the bathrooms based off of like the region you're in. So who knows? Maybe that's something with Italian showers where they're like, would you like to shower now? And they just turn on their own. So who knows?
Interesting.
I'm just trying to speculate wildly here. But yeah, some of that stuff is really terrifying.
Yeah. Thank you.
And please send in your other ones. All right, so I'm going to move into my first story of the evening. And the email is called Website Submission. That's not really what it's called. The subject is Telepathic Doll Can Share on Pod, and it's from Amber. It starts out like this. So this is a story from when I was about 5 or 6 years old. My mom and I met up with some weird guy that my mom was friends with at the time. His mother had passed away recently, and he was selling/giving stuff away from her house. My mother, being one to love rummaging through people's shit, was like, hell yeah. So we get there and the guy tells us that there's no electricity in the house and busts out some flashlights. That is just not starting out well. We walk in the house and the first thing I notice is an upside down cross on the wall.
Big old nope. Why is there...
Even at a very young age, I instantly felt like something was wrong. I looked at my mom, noticing it too, and she became uneasy as well. He then proceeded to take us up to the upstairs/attic. The guy is in front, then my mom, then me. As soon as my mom stepped on the second step, she almost fell backwards on me. She grabbed her chest and said she felt like something just went through her. At this point, she was getting really freaked out, and so am I. So we hurried up and grabbed some of the boxes he has and loaded them up and left.
I feel like it's a bad idea to take stuff from there now.
Right.
Because it's just bad
It kind of feels like it was like, leave my shit alone, don't touch my stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But, okay, let's keep going and see what happens. Once we get home, I remember being in my room and going through the boxes. We open up this box, and the first thing we see is a rat doll in an apron that looks pretty old and tattered.
So
I wonder if it's a rat doll or a ratty doll. I'm curious about that.
Okay. Because I was going to say, there are people out there, taxidermists, who do create dolls from animals like that.
Like the guy in Dinner for Schmucks?
Yeah. That movie is cute, by the way. I just love Steve Carell. I think he's funny.
I agree.
But there are people out there that do create adorable dolls using animals. And I've seen ones that are rats, and they put them in cute little, like Lolita dresses and Gothic Lolita dresses. They're so cute. I don't know.
Okay, so there's this doll. You ready to keep going?
Yeah, I just don't know if it's a rat doll or a ratty doll, whatever.
Whatever you want to picture in your mind's eye, go ahead and picture it, and we'll just keep moving forward. That goes for everyone else as well. I simply toss it and look for a few more things. Next, I come across a Raggedy Ann type doll. I got really excited and wanted to keep her. So just an FYI before I move on with this, the Raggedy Ann doll is what the actual doll was that is Annabelle. It wasn't like some porcelain doll or some really fancy doll that was made. It was actually a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to keep going. So my mom washes her up and lets me have her. In the following days, my mom kept feeling like the doll wanted to be named, so she told me to give the doll a name. And I settled on Sarah. Sarah has an H. I know that's important to girls that are named Sarah about whether or not their name has an H. After I named her, my mom said that she instantly felt like it made the doll happy. As time went on, I stopped playing with her because I became bored with her. My mom swears the doll was draining her energy, and we both actually started having nightmares.
It's just when they walked into the house and they had bad vibes, it's just such a bad idea that they took anything from there.
Cursed items, man.
Yeah,
that's all I'm
big
saying.
ol' nope. That's why I don't want to go to estate sales sometimes when I'm really scared of just bringing something home that could be really bad, you know?
Yeah, you just never know, dude. All right, I then didn't even want the doll in my room. Some days my mom would put her in the window to have her look out because she said she felt like it told her to. Anyway, this creepy-ass doll was running our household, so my mom finally has enough and feels like this doll for sure has a spirit in it and needs to be destroyed or something. She tells my grandmother, who is deeply religious, and she agrees something needs to be done, so she prays over us and our house and then takes it with her. To this day, she never told my mom what she did with it. My mom has told this story many times, probably because that's the creepiest thing that's ever happened to her. It sounds pretty weird and made up, but I definitely remember that house vividly and the doll too. Anyways, thanks for letting me have somewhere to share my homegrown horror. Keep on creeping on, Amber. Well, thank you for sending that in, Amber. It's nice to know that there was someone that did swoop in and save the day, and it was Grandma in the long run. Because I think we all need someone to handle our cursed objects for us, and hopefully the old folks out there know enough about it to be like, yeah, I'll fix this shit, no problem, we'll be right over there. It's like they ride in on a white horse and take the evil away. Or maybe the doll possessed your grandma and you never knew, and like your grandma's been trapped in the doll and now the doll is trapped in your grandma. I'm just saying, like, that would be a twist ending, right, if it's a horror movie. So.
Okay, thanks for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for sending that in. If you have any more, please send them our way. So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back.
So this next email is from Alicia, and it's titled, A Few Stories About Living in a Haunted Warehouse. All right.
Interesting.
It goes, Hi, spooky friends and mom.
Hello.
A few months ago, me, my 2 kids, and our pets moved into the warehouse of the company I work for. After a few rough years, this is the first real, quote-unquote, on our own house. I didn't think one single time about all the stories of sitting at work and hearing footsteps or voices.
Holy shit.
I was too proud of the fact that I was finally able to provide for my kids on my own. That's an awesome feeling.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
It is a badass feeling, so we move in and things are okay. It's quiet, feels calm. First place in years that has felt like home. And peace. A few weeks go by and I'm doing laundry. Okay, back up. My house is a full-size, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment that is inside a warehouse that takes up a full city block.
Wow.
We keep our work trucks in there overnight, and it's our workshop. My place is off in the corner, and from the warehouse looking at it, it just looks like the corner of a room that has been boxed in. My washer and dryer are outside of my apartment, but inside the warehouse. So I'm doing laundry one Sunday morning and hear a stomp and then a shuffling sound. My heart stops. I nope out, go to my room, and watch cartoons for a few hours.
Wow.
get my courage up, and try again.
It sounds like a ghost doing the electric slide. That's where my head went to
How
first.
does the electric slide go?
It's just like the Cupid Shuffle.
Oh.
It's like the same thing, just a different beat.
Okay. I go out and hear nothing, so I start to move laundry again. And then stomp and shuffling. Again, I nope right the fuck back to my room and decide laundry can wait until my kids come home for the evening. Oh man, so you're by yourself. There's like no way. Like, I wouldn't want to do that either. I would hide.
I would send my kids to go investigate when they got home.
So I wait, and when kids are home, I go back out and hear it again. But it's close, like really, really close to me. I run in, and my daughter is right by the door, so I say, there's a ghostie out there that wants my attention, and he's freaking me out. My daughter shakes her head and says, it's not mad, and goes back to her room.
Wow.
Now I'm mad. I've spent all day being scared, and my housework isn't done, so I go back out. He stomp shuffles again, only this time right into my son's drum set, which made me almost cry, and then I see it. It's a motherfucking bat. I nope the fuck out so fucking fast. Bats freak me out, big time. I closed the door, cried a little bit, and then got big leather gloves and went back out to get this dumbass back to a safe spot and hopefully back to leaving me alone. It took me about 45 minutes to talk myself into walking up to it, and then I finally did. I realized it was a little black bird stuck to a glue trap. That sucks. I took him in, freed him, washed him up, and set him free the next morning. So maybe the place isn't haunted after all.
Haunted by birds trapped in glue traps.
A few weeks ago, I'm out in the warehouse doing laundry again, and I swear, it sounded like a baby cry. My heart dropped. I went back inside, and thankfully my daughter was home, so I asked her to come help.
Your daughter seems like the brave one in this equation, I'm just saying.
She came out and said there was nothing here, and then we both heard it. And then something fell, so my daughter goes to the noise. She's fearless. I followed, and we found nothing. So we go back in and started messing around in the kitchen. The door there leads to the warehouse, and while we were cooking, we hear a small knocking on the door. Kind of scratching-ish. So daughter says, let him in.
Whoa.
No.
Never give that thing permission to get inside your house.
I opened the door, and a cat, a huge, beat-all-up orange cat who's being fostered and cared for and is almost better now, came walking in, looked at me, tried to meow, but sounded like a little baby whine.
Aww.
That's so cute. Anyway, the place still doesn't seem haunted, right? Just like I'm a giant chicken who lives with Snow White.
That's funny.
My daughter is a night owl, so she was up making a snack in the kitchen around 3 a.m. the other night and said someone knocked on the door. I said, what the fuck? She said, yeah, it freaked me out, but he was just lost, so I didn't open it. She then went back to her room with her snack.
What the fuck?
And yes, she came to my room at 3 a.m. to wake my chicken ass up and tell me, hope you enjoyed that. That was such a good email. I think that's really creepy that your daughter was like, they were just lost, so I didn't open the door. Like,
who gets lost in a warehouse?
In a warehouse? Creepy.
Like, yeah, it's a huge warehouse, but still, who the fuck gets lost in a warehouse? That is scary, man.
That is super scary.
Your daughter, however, is a badass, and I'm pretty sure that she will eventually one day take over the world with that fearless attitude.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's some crazy stories. It's always funny to hear coincidental stories where it's like, I was really terrified, and then I realized there was a perfectly rational explanation for it, because they're just so funny.
Yeah.
So thank you for sending that in. We appreciate you sharing with us some embarrassing moments of you being scared and your daughter being awesome.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Everyone needs someone like that in their life that's just fearless.
Right. Or at least brave enough to do what they won't do. They don't have to be fearless, but just braver than you. So, we all need that one person. I actually like...
You also need that one person that's slower than you come the zombie apocalypse.
The zombies show up. My friend had a bat in his garage when we were in like 8th or 9th grade. And we went and told his parents, and they're like, deal with it. Like, you're old enough now. It's your responsibility to get it out of the garage. So we wound up putting on, like, hockey masks and, like, ponchos for rain. And every time the bat... Because the garage is really low, so every time the bat would fly around our heads. We'd freak out and run inside. It took us, like, 3 hours to get the bat out of the fucking garage. But it definitely reminded me of that when you brought up the bat. So.
That's funny.
Thank you so much one last time. So I'm going to move on to the final story of the show, and this one's subject is more stories for you. I would also like to point out that this email is from my cousin Alexis. So thank you so much for listening to the show, supporting us, and sending in your stories yet again. And it starts out like this. Hello, Adam, Robin, and Auntie.
Hello.
She says Auntie because that's my mom, and my mom edits these. I have a few more stories you can read if you think they are show-worthy. It is a bit long. No worries. I took a break from listening so I could binge during the summer. I'm on the Bachelor's Grove episode. Nice. So excited. Short story about this subject. We tried to get in there back in college. We used to quote-unquote ghost hunt in college from 91 to 96. We piled into 2 cars, there were 6 of us, and drove around trying to find the entrance. We could not find it. It was nighttime and the guy who had been there before wasn't quite sure where the hidden entrance was located. We pulled over at one point to decide the next move, and lo and behold, a cop stops to talk to us. Oh shit. After the usual barrage of questions, he said he would take us in if one of my friends would go on a date with him.
Oh, no, that's trashy shit.
I'm guessing it wouldn't take us in if one of my friends would go on a date with him.
That's so... It's like a creeper thing.
That is a creeper thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just point your gun at them and be like, one of you is going to fuck me tonight. Like, that's like a step down from it,
that's
but it's
like...
still super creepy and abuse of your power.
Exactly.
Goes on to say, I definitely escalated it there, but it's creepy as shit. And he goes on to say, needless to say, we never got in there. My friend was married and declined the offer. I've heard this is the site for satanic cults and rituals. Also, there are stone figures that appear to move. At the time, the whole cemetery was outlined by trees, so it was not possible to see in there. And then it goes on to number these. 1. This happened the evening of December 9th, just a few days ago. We were watching a show on the computer, and the screen started to get skittish. It looked like 3 different buttons were trying to appear in rapid succession, as if someone was touching the screen on the lower left side repeatedly super fast. The computer screen is touch-enabled, but we were 6 feet or more away. I jokingly said to my husband, I wonder who's visiting, to which he responded, right before this happened, I saw orbs, very bright, and pointed to where he was sitting. We converted the spare bedroom into an office. I asked how many, and he said 2. Then I said I wondered who was with us. Once we moved the mouse on the computer, the anomaly stopped. This is the first time I've witnessed it, but it's not the first time it has happened. Ray said I should submit this to the show.
Nice.
Ray was right. Thank you for convincing my cousin to send that in, Ray. The following are from my young years. They all had something to do with my Oma and Opa's house on my mom's side, which was the place I stayed at most of the time. So this is number 2. Throughout my childhood, I would have dreams of being left behind. The dreams were similar with minor changes, but the same outcome. My grandparents and I were getting ready to leave on vacation. This sounds like Home Alone. Okay. The station wagon, in parentheses, keep in mind this was the early 80s, a Chevy Caprice Classic with front seat, back seat, and the third seat where I would lay and play during the trips, parked in the garage with the garage door open, and the door to the back of the car was open as well. All the suitcases would be packed up under the quote-unquote floor in the third seat or open trunk. I remembered needing to grab something inside the house. I ran into the house, the length of the 1-car garage, up 3 steps, opening the sliding door into the kitchen and through the kitchen, down the hall and back into the back bedroom, grabbing the item and then moving back through the house. This took all maybe of a minute or 2. It was as if I was in a movie being followed by the camera. When I returned to the garage, the car would be gone and the garage door still open. I never understood how this could happen since the house was small enough to hear the car starting. I would run out to the driveway and into the street to see not a damn thing. The car was nowhere to be found on the quiet street, and I was left standing alone, crying and apologizing, not knowing if I had done something to make them leave me. I would wake up crying.
Aww.
I'm sure this was my mind creating bad things because I was afraid of being left behind. This was the years following my parents' divorce, and I manifested the feelings into these horrible dreams. I think it's safe to say that I was terrified with these dreams at such a young age and was glad when they stopped. That's really sad.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. There is more to go. I just want to stop and say thank you for sharing that. So this next one is number 3, and it says, in my early teen years, I dream I could fly. This isn't scary, just really weird. Again, I'm at Oma and Opa's house. I'd be standing on the roof of their single-story brick-style house with a full basement. Side note for Robin, this was an awesome finished basement the size of the house. It had tile floor, partial bath, a liquor bar, my grandmother's beauty shop, a pool table, and 2 other rooms. It was laid out in such a way that I was able to roller skate there when I was younger. Hashtag basements rock, hashtag give basements a chance. Anyways, I digress. So while on the roof, there were others around me. Some friends who were flying around the backyard, which had a 20-foot terrace and an above-ground pool with a sun deck. I would run a few steps and jump off the roof, gliding around the backyard. Every time I would land, I could feel the pain in my feet. Literally. But I was unable to fly again. I would head back to the roof and jump, but could never regain flight during that dream. It was suggested that it was me trying to obtain freedom at the age I couldn't.
Aww.
I still can't explain why I'd feel the pain in my feet. That's interesting.
That's interesting.
So these are
it's
like filled with symbology right now.
It's like the pain in your feet's so strange because, I mean, there are things out there where it's like if you die in your dream, you die in real life.
Not true.
Which is not true. Adam covered that.
I've died in my dream. That's the only reason I say that.
Oh, okay.
Multiple times before. Unless this is hell.
But
which
that
would make a lot of sense because of 2020. So.
I was thought you were going to say
But it's kind of heaven because I have Robin, but yeah, still. No,
I think that's really interesting.
Right, I do too. And there's more. Number 4. My best friend and I went to a small cemetery in Hobart, Indiana. It's my old stomping grounds. It's right around where I grew up. And we were working on photo assignments, so we decided to go at night. It was small, surrounded by trees and wrought in iron fencing. Luckily, it was off a side road. We parked a short walk from it to be off the road, and we were walking around trying to find what to shoot. Of course, this is with a camera, not with a gun.
Oh my fuck.
I did my images, and my friend was a bit away from me when out of nowhere I heard that oh-so-creepy sound of creaking metal. You know that sound, heard it in so many horror movies. It sounded like a creaking gate opening, not closing as I didn't hear the clank of a lock. So in my mind I hear like...
Thank you
good?
for that. Yeah.
What's your sound like?
I don't know.
Gate.
All I can hear is, in movies when they want to do the sound of thunder, they have those big sheet metal things that they go... Yeah.
That's definitely not what a gate sounds like.
That's all I hear right now.
All right. I rushed over to my friend and asked her if she heard the sound, and she said no. She had a couple more images to take. I kept watch while she did. We left a few minutes later, and once we got down the road, all I heard from my friend is, by the way, I heard it too.
Oh, man.
Why would you say no out loud? Are you trying to, deny the ghosts that you think made that sound the right to know they scared you? That's weird. At the expense of making someone who did hear it feel terrified. All right, number 5, possessed toys. We had 2 copies of a book that listed classic toys. Each of the toys on the cover had a noisemaker underneath the image and would make the corresponding sound. It was a fun book, but after a few years, it became its own type of quote-unquote fun. All we would have to do is walk past the book, and the doll sound would go off. It took a couple of times to figure out what the sound was and where it came from.
How do you not burn it?
Right? We tried to keep a light foot when we passed by this book. It didn't happen all the time, but enough times that when it happened, we would freak for a moment. It only happened with one of the books. The sounds finally died within the book, and we never had another occurrence.
Oh, good.
I feel like it has a battery in it, and I would take the battery out and see if the phenomenon would have persisted.
So our friends who are parents have a lot of, obviously, kids' toys.
Weird flex, but okay.
And they...
Oh, yeah, I know what you're going to say.
And they were saying that a lot of toys these days have a mechanism in them that call the kids back to them.
It's like idle mode.
Yeah, so even though no one's... Is that fireworks?
There's fireworks going on outside.
So even though there's no one playing with it, it's trying to get the kid to come back and play with it.
Imagine if it's a clown doll and you put the clown doll away and it's not like in super off mode or batteries out. It has I can't remember what they call it, like attract mode, where it's like to try and get the kid to come back to it. That's my Krusty the Clown laugh, by the way. I hope you enjoyed that.
We got them a cat piano.
Because that's what you get a 1-year-old for his first birthday, is a piano that looks like a cat that just sings in chords.
And on
so different
great.
keys,
it's
I
like,
should say. It's so funny.
Yeah, we got them a cat piano, and they were saying that it would make noises
in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
Like, meow.
Yeah.
Meow, I want your soul.
I just think that's so creepy.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah.
All right, and it's going to wrap up now. We're going to get to the end of this email. Suggestions for possible future stories. There are 2 houses in the Porter County area that I had heard were haunted with questionable histories Porter County is where I grew up, by the way. Since my researching stinks, maybe you would be able to find something on them. The first is Joseph Wolf Mansion in South Haven. I know where Wolf Mansion is. I drive past it all the time when I go see my grandparents when I'm back in the town. I've shown it to Robin multiple times. They actually filmed a movie there. That it's like a low-budget film that one of my aunt's friends was in.
Really?
Yeah, and I can't find a whole lot on Wolf Mansion aside from, like, a local article saying, like, Wolf Mansion might be haunted. Like, that's it. So.
I think I tried to look into that one, too.
Wolf Mansion has, like, bare-bones bullshit on it. I might, like, group it into a topic one day where, like, we just put 3 or 4 like supposedly haunted houses all into one topic, but I've definitely heard of Wolf Mansion. The rumor I've heard was the original owner of the house murdered his family and hid their bodies in the carriage house. Last I tried to research years and years ago, I couldn't find anything. I don't know anything about the history except that it was horrible. Us ghost seekers tried to get into the house and asked the residents if we could tour, but the owners denied the request. Fun side note, the house was featured in a cheesy B movie named Bloodbath in Psychotown. I've seen this movie, Catch Up for Blood. Need I say more?
Oh my gosh.
The other house is in the same area as Dewey House in Valparaiso. Valparaiso is my official hometown. The rumor of this house is the owner killed his family. Is Dewey House. I've covered Dewey House.
I think
I've covered Dewey House.
Really?
I covered local legends, and I talked about Moody Light, and I think I brought up the fact that when I went to Dewey House, it was all horseshit.
Oh, that's that farm?
That's the farm where the guy like pointed a gun at us.
Get off my land!
Get off my land! The rumor of this house is the owner killed his family and put their heads on spikes on the fence outside the house. Across from the house, set way off the highway down a side road, is a wooded area that is said to have glowing red eyes belonging to demon dogs at night. A friend took me to a place she thought it was, and she knew where it was located. It was day aside from just being unnerved. We didn't see anything. The side of the road with the house was completely overgrown, and we really couldn't see anything. It was creepy for daytime. I'd like to hear if you find anything on either or both of these homes. Still loving you guys and the podcast. Keep on creeping on. Alexis. I have been to Dewey House. It was habitated. It was a home that had a family in it, and the owner came out. The lights were all on. The owner came out and pointed a gun at us, told us to fuck off. And I was just like, is there anything going on in this house? He's like, no, but people keep coming here. He was so like upset at how bothered his family was consistently. And I always joke that there's no way that house was haunted unless that guy wasn't real. You know, like we drove away and then like the camera cuts back to the house and it's dilapidated and there's no lights that could possibly be in there. And the man just like fades in the mist. That's the only way that house was haunted, in my humble opinion. But I did have a gun pointed at me and told to fuck off, so it does change a person's opinion pretty fast.
All right.
But thank you so much for saying that in, Alexis. I appreciate you listening to the show, supporting us, and sharing your stories, because a lot of those were deeply personal, and I understand that it's not easy to write those things. And we say that a lot on the show. We're happy that we've created a safe space, or we've created a space that you folks have made safe for people to share some things that might be otherwise traumatizing, and I think everyone is very open to listening to it, and they all like are supportive of it. So thank you for being part of that community. So I want to thank everyone who sent in their stories this week. It was very kind of anyone to share their experiences with us, whether it be something coincidental, something traumatic, or something just scary. And we appreciate everything that gets sent our way. So if you have a story that you would like to share with us, please email storytime@scarish.com or go to the website scarish.com and click on Contact Us. If you fill out that form, it comes directly to us. Or you can hit us up on any of our social medias. Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter is @scarishpod, and Instagram is @scarishpodcast. Robin, for the folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can donate at patreon.com/scarishpodcast. Whole bunch of different tiers. The Mothman charms got finished yesterday.
They look
so good. I was struggling with them because they got misprinted first with the text in the wrong direction. And so they're gorgeous. They're cute. Everything's right. They're getting shipped to me today. So hopefully I'll get it in the next couple days. And those will be sent out to all our Badge of Honor patrons and above that have been patrons from this month to whatever a few months I've had way back for the spring. No, was it summer? I think it's for the summer. For the summer. So
you handle the merch, and I trust you to do it.
Anybody that's been a Badge of Honor patron and above during the summer will get one of these charms. And I'm really excited to kind of get those in your hands. And then if you want to just do one-time donations, you can go to ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast. And those are one-time donations. All your donations go to upgrading our studio setup, keeping us going, letting us kind of spend more time creating more content for you guys.
Indeed. We appreciate everything you guys do, whether it's just listening to the episodes, subscribing on our Twitch channel, sending us donations, signing up for Patreon, sending in your emails. It is all wonderful and supportive, and it means the world to us. So thank you so much to all of you. So Robin, go ahead and send us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.